welcome to the Green Jobs Media Series. My name is Jose Reyeros. I am your host, and today we are talking about different intersections. Usually we talk about circular economies, climate justice, urban sustainability, and regeneration, but we're going to try to focus a bit more on media and sustainability, and a little bit more of Smiley's role in this. Smiley, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm really excited. I think that meeting you was the first time I saw someone really embodying what the intersection of climate and media and doing it in all of these different levels was. And so I'm super excited that, now that we're doing this podcast, having you over, because you've been such an inspiration for me. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to talk with you today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I think talking to you over the year, learning how passionate you are also about intersecting media and environment, which is totally up my alley. It's just always gets me excited. So yeah.
That's lovely. Well, thank you. And I'm really happy, and I hope that we can keep working together in years to come. Well, I wanted to make a little bit of an introduction around you. I think that today's interview is going to focus a lot on your experiences and what has led you to get to the places where you have been. But to get us started, I think that I want to really remark how community action has been so central to the work that you do. And so through that, I want to check more into your background and motivation and understand a bit better how you have worked extensively with this intersection of climate and media. And so I want to know what inspired you to merge these elements, and what did the start of this journey look like, and to get where you are.
Yeah, okay, big question. How much time do we have? We were just talking before the podcast, before we started to record, about the eras tour and how I see that in my life too, living different eras and different chapters, because I didn't take one path to get to where I am today. I feel like I had to go through all these different experiences and roles and to learn sort of what I want, what I bring to the world. But also I'm somebody that doesn't like doing just one thing, and I've always been like that. And another part of I think the whole entrepreneurship and running a whole organization or a company, that was also stemmed from the very beginning as a teenager, always even as a child actually, just always wanting to have a business. And I started I was a photographer in high school, and I started doing professional photo shoots for people and making a lot of money that way, and expanding. And it always involved people. It always involved relationships you build with people and communities and clients and stuff. So that's always been rooted in me. It's this love and passion for building a community, having a business, being an entrepreneur, being my own boss. But obviously, like I said, it wasn't one path. It wasn't I know this is what I want to do, and I'm going to put all 100% of effort into being my own boss. And so the last, I think, year of high school, I decided, I picked up a video camera, and or last 2 years, but I took, I've always done photography, and I started experimenting with making videos and films. And I was like, wow, this is something I really, really enjoy doing. So I went to study film production and to get a degree in motion picture arts in university. And so it was kind of just let me just try this out. And do you want me to take this away?
It's okay. We haven't introduced Chloe.
Okay, we can. She's not in the camera.
Chloe's right here.
Throughout university and taking part in that film production program, I really loved the producing aspect. And again, it's business. It's bringing people together and making something happen, producing. And I think it was my third year where I learned about the environmental impact of film. And I only learned this because I went to this event that I got a free ticket to, and I just was like blown away, because I'm like, 3 years of being in this program, where no, it's okay, just hide it. Where we're learning about how to make, like, we're learning all about film production, but like not once have we talked about the impact of film. And everything we're learning is like the older traditional way of like, print everything out, use all these materials, everything goes in the garbage. And when I learned about the environmental impact from these other producers in the industry that are thinking about like the long-term impact of our planet and our industry, I was like, okay, as a producer, as an emerging producer, how can I...
Hey, you want to talk?
Chloe, no. Just sit. No ball. Here, take this. Sorry. Of course she decides now. Here. As a producer, I was like, how can I make sure I'm making my set sustainable? And that's what I started doing while I was still in school. And then I left school to start working in production on bigger like TV shows. And I realized, oh, they're still not doing it. They're not implementing sustainability. So I kept advocating for that. And that led me to being one of the early and first sustainability coordinators on a film production at a studio level, because at that point, like, I think studios started to recognize, like, wait, this is kind of important. Let's test the waters. Let's pilot this whole sustainability thing. Yeah, so that, yeah, I don't even know how much more to talk, but like that's where it started. Is like, it just kind of started figuring out as I went. Like at every point, I was like, kind of, this piques my interest. Let me try it out, and it evolved with time. Yeah.
That's lovely. I love how you found some of your passions that were as basic as learning how to handle a camera. Then that comes into your decision making, into where you want to take this professionally, and I think that oftentimes when we think about climate action and youth climate action in particular, we are told to champion our movements, and we're told to be these leaders that are thinking about the ways that we can make things differently for the better. But so often this happens within the echo chambers of climate action. And so hearing that you did that through film and, you know, just thinking out the box in a completely unrelated field.
Maybe just put her ball on the ground. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. Okay. Let's try it out.
Like, we can put it on the ground and then it won't be like picking up the sound of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hi.
Here, I'll take it. Oh my god, I thought I was gonna hit your mug. Okay.
Almost. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'll rephrase from my question or from my answer. Okay, so.
No.
I really enjoyed how you talk about your small passions, and you've taken those along with you through your career and building your skills for media, and to take that into your undergrad learning and all that aspect. I think that often we're told that we need to champion youth climate action in ways that we leave, and that, I don't know, it sometimes feels like an irresponsible generational thing where, like, you guys take care of this, now it's your problem and you are the only solution we have. And it's like, well, of course, yes, but especially within the youth climate action field, that it's so much of an echo chamber. It feels hard to think outside of the box. And so I like how you, in your media and film studies, were able to pick up on that and do it from a very different angle. And perhaps here, starting there with what has taken your passions, which has been this intersection, right? So,
yeah, I also want to say, like, it as you say that, I was thinking of like my early days on set when I got the opportunity to like lead sustainability on a production, and how like it was received by, you know, these are like, we're talking 100, 200 people crews, and there's like people from all walks of life, people that have been working in the industry for 20, 30 years, or are more newer, younger, like very diverse range of people. And for all of them, it was new concept to come to them and be like, we're going to be sustainable. This is how we're going to do it. And obviously the whole concept of sustainability was new to everybody. Also, it's somebody that just like kind of started working in the industry, and it's like this young person coming to them. Like I can see where there was a little bit resistance. I think, and I've heard everything from, oh yeah, like we should be doing this, I do this at home, to, oh, like what's the point, it doesn't matter, or oh, you know, it's you young people, you're gonna do this, like what you're saying. I've heard all of it, and I never saw it, like I think the reason I never let it get me down or like see that as like a huge challenge or barrier is because I never saw it as like, oh, the young generation's gonna fix it, or oh, I'm young and I care about my future and that's why. Well, like it is a part of it, but it wasn't what really motivated me to asking for change, like on a production, or and a production can be compared to any kind of workplace. Like if you're working anywhere, it's like your workplace. I saw it more as like, this is our responsibility, like all of us collectively, again, all age groups, all experiences, all kinds of people from all kinds of parts of the world coming together. It's our collective responsibility to be better, to be more conscious, to be more responsible. If you're doing it at home, why are you not doing it at work? Why are you not composting or recycling at work? Or why are you choosing to just like idle your vehicle and waste all the, you know, and emit all these like carbon emissions? So I never saw it, like I think that's what, when I first started this work, I didn't let the idea of like, maybe it was naive and I was so young that I didn't think like, oh, me being young is going to be a big challenge, or it's on this generation, because I always saw it as our collective responsibility. I have to give credit to like where I learned this from are from established producers that were talking at these conferences about being sustainable, who have also worked in the industry 20, 30 years. Like they are also very experienced. I wasn't seeing just young people talk about it from the very beginning. I saw people that were like very experienced in their careers being like, we need to be better. And I think that really framed my mindset of like, it's not on the young generation, it's all of us. If I'm the like, you know, sort of, I don't know what the word to say, like to use in this kind of the communicator, or like the you know, messenger, I guess, of this like maybe I'm the messenger of like, let's be better on that particular, in that workplace. Me being young doesn't mean that you should listen to me. I'm a person that lives on this planet. You are also a person that lives on this planet. We are using the same resources. Knowing what our impact is, how can we be better together? And I think I take that throughout my work in all the years and the different roles I've been in. I've had to collaborate with all kinds of people. I've never exclusively only worked with young people. I almost always only worked with older people, because these are the people that were in positions of leadership, and the ones that could make decisions. And yeah, there's a huge, I think in the young, like youth and movement, we often only start engaging youth, and a lot of like organizations want to mobilize youth, and it's great, we should, because we need to educate youth. But when it's like you said, ecosystem becomes of like only youth talking to youth, it kind of stays with that. And it's like, how do we like bridge these gaps with all these other generations that can maybe help actually enact more change, because they may be in positions of power, or, you know, have more wealth or have more privilege. Like, how do we create those bridges? So that's something I'm still figuring out, but I've found in my career and being in different roles, that's how it's been, and it has to be that way. We have to collaborate with all the different generations of people to see real change. It can't just be young people. It can't just be like, you know, people in positions of power. Like, we all have to come together and learn from each other. And yeah.
You got it right there. I think that if we keep putting youth in this box and not let them be part of the solutions at the senior level, for example, or we were talking about compensation and us as young people feeling, I mean, I was telling you about how I felt ashamed or I don't know, like weird about having a decent salary, you know, when I have the opportunities. And so I wonder how in your, you know, maybe 5-year experience that you've been involved in the spaces, how are you seeing the youth climate action movement evolve? Do you think that your opportunities, your necessities are being met? Perhaps even in that side, you can share like, yeah, what do you think is missing and where do you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is also big questions, like depending where we want to focus on. But you brought up compensation, and I really want to like emphasize the point about, like you said, feeling guilty for, you know, accepting a decent salary while trying to be in a job or in a place where you're trying to do better for the world. And I think that's such a important topic to talk about, and it's so like taboo, I feel like. I think maybe younger people coming into workplace, we're becoming more transparent with like salaries, and now there's policies in British Columbia and other provinces are slowly starting to, you know, create policies where there's salary transparency law or the act, because of how like I think it's such a like I can talk for hours about this alone. When we talk about people in these positions of, you know, sustainability, social justice, like kind of like on the front lines, and then you add on the fact like if you're a young person or you're a person of color or you're a woman, all these different barriers and stuff. Oftentimes we're seeing this like very big disadvantage or like just inequality in pay, and I truly believe like I've been in like corporate spaces, I've been in freelance spaces, I've been in government spaces, and money is always just like a complicated thing because here I am putting everything that I have into this work, into trying to make the world a better place, into helping mobilize change in my community, in my industry or my workspace. Yet if I'm not able to pay my bills, why should I feel guilty for asking for more money? Why should I feel guilty for not accepting a fair wage or just like a comfortable salary? I think for a long time I had experienced the like, and I still do, like the stress of like, how am I going to pay my bills or save for a future? I chose to work in a space that is about, this whole like, what is that phrase? Like people over profit. Like we use that a lot in this space. However, it's not a bad thing if you're making money that you can put towards your future. Like I think that's such a taboo subject, and I think we need to talk more about it, especially young people coming into the workforce, to be more mindful, you included, me included, and asking for what you deserve so that you can take care of yourself. Because if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your community
What's
or
the
the
point?
planet? Yeah, like if you're just going to continue to feel burnout because you're barely making your bills, but you're like, oh, well, I'm doing the greater good and I'm working this good job. Like, how long are you going to last? Probably not, because at the end of the day, you have to survive. And so I think that's something we're not talking a lot about, and we need to be. And it comes into the issue of like, the whole thing around funding for nonprofits and then environmental and then BIPOC. Like it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, the pool of money for nonprofit organizations. And then if you add in like, the factor of like environmental nonprofits or youth nonprofits, the margin is so small. So there's also those issues that I won't get into too much, but it's an issue that we need to talk about. It's, why are we struggling to get funding, and why can't we pay ourselves if we're putting in this much work? Why are large corporations that are responsible for global emissions allowed to walk away with millions, if not billions, in their pockets, but people on the front lines can't even make their next paycheck. Like, that is a big problem. I am not an expert to talk on it or like what to do to change that, but I think just talking about it helps us get out of that taboo, uncomfortable territory, because money is always just awkward to talk about. So my advice there is like, talk about it and ask for a fair salary, ask for what you deserve, and don't feel guilty for being compensated for the work you're doing.
Yeah, because you gotta make it worth, like you're building these bright, sustainable features, and then if there's not a place for you in there, and then you think, we're just building this feature for the big oil execs that actually have the money to live in the future. So, specifically breaking those barriers for climate organizers and for youth organizers, that just the term organizer or activist, I've been seeing more people not align with it because it is so incomplete in its form. Like, it doesn't make you a professional. It doesn't take you seriously in some spaces where you want to scale those solutions, right? And so something I'm interested in knowing more about your work, especially as you worked with creative agencies that work with municipal government or big corporate entertainment, is, and particularly as you work with circular economies, as you have mentioned, what are some of those scalable solutions that you feel proud of to have worked in? But also like some of those barriers working there at the same time.
Yeah, I'm proud of and this is another thing. I think when you're in the thick of it, the deep, like, sorry, I just lost my name. When you're really like in the work, like, it's hard to like step away and be like, I'm proud of this, or like, here's some achievements or highlights, because we're constantly like being told, well, the world is still burning, like, we got to keep going, like, it's not enough. And so something I've been practicing a lot of this year is to really just take a moment and reflect and like, and like, see how far I've come, what I've achieved, and be proud of those milestones. And I think a lot of people need to, like, especially in this space, and young people need to like practice more as like, be proud of your achievements and milestones, because yes, the world will still be spinning, but like, if you don't take, but if you don't take a minute to just like recognize how far you come, they don't agree with us.
No.
Anyways, I'm losing my train of thought because of that. Anyways, I will, some things I'm really proud of is, I think the way that I was able to be part of the movement in Vancouver specifically, in film, and like be one of the early sustainability coordinators on productions, and really help create a pathway for more sustainability coordinators to be working on productions. And I think that now we see like it's such a standard, and I'm really proud of the fact that I was part of that early sort of like, stage. And when I got into my role, which I have recently left, but I'm really proud of like how I got into that, role, and all the things they've achieved, including engaging more municipal support and collaboration. Municipal, as well as studios, as well as, for-profit companies, unions and guilds, different, different groups of people, because in any kind of business, film included, there's a lot of competition between vendors and studios and municipalities. Like, everyone's trying to be the best or be better than the others, and that's fair. Like, that's totally okay as well. Like, if there's that little bit of competition and it helps you, meet your, goals or whatever, that's fine. Or like, say two studios are competing, that's normal, right? Because everyone's trying to make maximum profit and be the cool thing. But what I realized and what I noticed and what I got to be a part of is in the sustainability space, or the sustainability conversation, when we're talking about like our environmental goals and stuff, all these different partners and, vendors and all these different people and stakeholders would come together, sit in a room, and share information with one another and be like, this is what we're doing, this is how we can help you do it. and if you're doing this, this is great. Let's celebrate one another. And there was no competition. And it's a huge thing that I continue, like I was in that role for 3 years, and I always made sure to emphasize that like this collaboration or competition. And I was just like grateful because a lot of the great partners and I got to work with, and I still to this day am in touch with a lot of folks that run the industry here and they're at the top of the game, and they still have those values of we're all going to collaborate, because at the end of the day we're all going to win. If we're all doing this thing together. We're not going to try to be like we're the most green, we're the most sustainable, and aka we're the best. And I think I'm really proud of that fact that we're so collaborative here in the film industry specifically. I would say like other things I'm really proud of, some highlights are even just like municipalities. Should I pause or?
I think the microphones will be fine.
Okay. I'm really proud of the fact that I got to be part of these milestones that where municipalities have what word am I saying? Introduced new policies and creating infrastructure and creating incentives to help communities and different industries be more sustainable. So like City of Vancouver is a great example, and we see them as a huge leader in BC, and a lot of other municipal governments and bodies and organizations are looking to City of Vancouver what they're doing because of what they managed to do. But they have like the Greenest City initiative. They've in film they've created and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on creating infrastructure so that you don't need to bring diesel generators to power your events, concerts, film productions, and you can plug in and get electric power, powered by water, and that's huge because like just that alone is helping emit so many emissions. There's a lot like around bylaws around recycling and composting and with businesses and what they have to be doing. So they're creating all these standards, and it's so funny when I go to other cities or other countries and I see how far behind they are. Just even going down to LA. I love LA. I love all my friends there, but that like whole like the counties and like just how far behind they are with their like I guess sustainability goals, even though in a lot of cases they do pride themselves as being like innovators. It's like what City of Vancouver has managed to do is so inspiring for people like around the world, and that's something that I'm really proud of that I got to like sort of be part of and like help and just like be a part of it. I think I don't know if that's too much or tell me if I'm talking too much.
No, that's right. I think you touched on what was going to be a bit of the follow-up question on cross-sector collaboration. I think something that you made me think about is how you need resources to get these collaborations going, right? And so something I've noticed more on the youth climate organizing side is that there's not a lot of funding. And so when that happens, I've definitely found myself and colleagues in occasions where we're working towards same goals, but there's just a little bit of funding that has to be either in competition between us or redistributed among us. And so we either are stressed because we cannot create that impact at the level we need, or it is just, it becomes competitive in a way that like, how do I present myself better to the funder or to the fellowship or to this job? And so...
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it seems like the city is alive.
Hopefully everything's okay.
It should, I mean, yeah. Let's wait for that for us. But I still have another part.
Yeah, I'll just wait for it.
Oh, it's a symphony now. It's crazy.
Yeah, something must have happened because it's not that common for this long. Oh, it stopped recording.
Yours? Oh.
Yeah, you just have to hit. It just stopped, so that's good.
Yeah,
you just hit record again. On my camera, it's 30 minutes max that it records, and that's all Canons I learned.
Really? Interesting.
It's really annoying. I was like, oh, is it just my camera? But it's Canons can only I think the Sonys are made for filming and Canons are made for photos, that they allow you 30 minutes max, but it's not a problem if you just hit record.
Makes sense. Yeah, we can clip stuff.
Yes. Oh my god. Maybe it's a fire. Sounds like a fire truck.
I hope it's not this building.
No.
It would sound
It looks like it's going down now. But that's a lot. That means there's something big happening.
Yeah, because it's been at least like 2-3 fire bosses.
Did you hear about all the fires happening in the Western, like with the buildings? Like people's apartments just like fully in flames, and then it would damage the couple units above and below.
Damn. That's terrible.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I think how you're framing it, it seems like big media, if you call it that, or entertainment industry. I mean, they have the means. I mean, it's huge. And I always think, you know, like, if we take a break from thinking about our theories of change for sustainability and climate, we need to integrate these solutions into the capitalist system that we have. And as we try to envision better versions of that system, I think that that's a fair view of a better version of the system, integrating the solutions that we can achieve from the grassroots with the right representation, with that cross-collaboration into these highly grossed industries, right? So I really appreciate how you put that together. Yeah. I don't know if you have any ideas contrary to that, though.
Do you want me to talk about this thing?
Yeah.
I feel like it's right passing by. Something is happening.
Yeah. It's fine. We can cut that part.
Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Thinking around what the power of the entertainment industry can be, I also wonder, like, you know, if more young climate action professionals can enter it and drive their solutions in these big spaces with these big resources.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now we're starting to see this growth in, like what I mentioned before, of like, it's becoming the standard, right? Like most organizations and companies, including film, and big media, but also like every sort of industry is starting to hire sustainability, environmental departments or people. And I really want to know what's going on out there. Sorry,
it seems pretty close, no?
Something. I was like, it's so foggy. I thought it was fire, but
it's not?
No.
Because it's so sunny on that side and it looks so foggy on that side.
Maybe something happened in Yaletown because they're all headed that way. Because why else would there be like that many ambulances and fire trucks? It's so loud. That's why I feel bad about the mics. Yeah, I'll just restart my point. Absolutely. I think like we're seeing such a, like what I mentioned before about like it's now becoming a standard for a lot of like, big tech, big media, all these spaces, industries are hiring, environmental sustainability teams or departments or people, because it's becoming this global sort of like, even if it's not for the right, like, for the right reason, like because there are a lot of companies that are just hiring to meet ESG goals and like, these targets and stuff because they need to, and it's not like from this right intention, but regardless of the intention, it's being, it's more of a standard now. And so people, like young people that are looking to enter spaces like this, I think now is a great time. I think when I first started, which was, I want to say 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago, around that time, like in film specifically, it was so new. It was so foreign. And now you can walk onto any set and there will be a sustainability person. Every studio has a sustainability department. I think we're seeing that in a lot of industries. And if it's not a standard in the industry that like you are in, or someone that like is young that's entering a workplace is, start talking about it. Like that's like, it didn't really exist that much in film when I started. I didn't have a lot of people to look to. Like I had a couple people that I saw, and I, you know, because of like, I really took them as like mentors and people that I wanted to stay in touch with throughout my journey. And then being in these positions of leadership, I got to then collaborate with those same producers and people at those large studios, and really like be together in this journey of like, you know, making it a standard. So either find those people that are doing what you want to do, and look to them as like either mentors or collaborators, or start the movement. I don't think there's any reason that you can't, you know, create something new, a movement or a cause, or just like maybe just starting with educating your team or that workplace, even if you're the only one saying it. I think don't feel like just because the industry you're entering doesn't have like this as the norm, that you can't start it. You can't be the one to introduce it. Obviously there's barriers. I remember you asked about barriers, and I didn't really talk about that, but there's barriers with everything. And a huge barrier is like when you're young and you're not in a position of power or leadership, or you're not making the most money, or you're not seen as seriously because you're young. That is a huge barrier, and that's something that like, who knows when that will go away. I think like with each generation, like our generation, like as we get older and now new generations are coming in, like I think it's a natural tendency for us to be like, oh, you know, that's, you know, the young people that they don't know yet what they're talking about. Like, you know, I think that's such a natural thing that we can help change that mentality of, again, cross collaboration across different generations, but being mindful that it kind of never goes away either. But what are we doing to set the next generation up for success? And what are we doing to again, mobilize the older generations to like take us seriously? That is, though, very, I think, emotionally draining. I think like mentally draining as well. If you're constantly doing that as well as the work that you're in, and also trying to enter the workplace and trying to create a name for yourself. So I do want to acknowledge that there's like, it's not always like, you know, the easiest. But with that, I say find your community, find the people that, you know, you can feel like supported with. I recently have taken a step away from the corporate government-based 9 to 5 to just really do my own thing and run the Sustainable app full time, look for collaborators, and like drive meaningful action in a way that I feel like is most authentic to me. And there's two ways. Like you can play with the big shark and create change from that, you know, like play the game, right? It's like, I like to think of it as like, you want to create change from the top, play the game, climb the ladder, work your way up. You can create change from there. That journey though, it's so difficult when you don't have the support. And I found in my own journey, like being the only young person by a few generations, I just felt so burnt out all the time. I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel like I had the support to like, and a lot of people feel that, but they'll stick through. And I just unfortunately got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I don't know if I want to climb the ladder and you know, join this whole like group of like, it's not authentic to me. It's not who I am. I want to do it in a way that's meaningful to me. And so I left that security of a 9 to 5, of a salary, of like, again, all these people I got to collaborate with that are at the top of the game, to now feel like I'm starting fresh again. And that's scary and that's hard and it's not easy, and I'm not going to glamorize it. Like, it's hard, and there's been many days where I doubt myself and I will cry and I will think about like, what did I do? Like, did I make the right decision? But then it's the community that I feel like talking to, like having friends like you, for example, like feeling like I'm not alone. I'm not as alone as I used to feel, right? As isolated I used to feel. Because now look at all these people that are also doing this work and trying their best, and we can come to each other and talk to each other. And I feel like when I was in that space, trying to climb the ladder and stuff, I just had no bandwidth emotionally, mentally, physically to like make time to like also find a community, because I was like constantly like trying not to drown in that work and like, again, make a name for myself. Now I feel like I've been able to really figure out like this balance of doing the work, but also resting, finding community. But with that, I don't have the security of a salary or this or that. So I think it's like, no matter where you are, if you're in that great like 9 to 5 job, there's going to be challenges there. If you're doing your own thing, you're creating your own movements or organizations, there's challenges there and barriers there. But at the end of the day, ask yourself like, what is authentic to you and meaningful to you and realistic for you? Because not everyone has the privilege to just like quit their job and do their own thing. Like, you gotta survive at the end of the day. Yeah, so I'm not saying like, and I would never like be the person to be like, quit your job, do your own thing, like you got this, be your like, like girl boss or whatever they say. Like, no, like in this time of like, how hard it is to just survive, like do what you need, but be authentic to yourself, and try to find a community if you don't have that.
No, totally, and I agree because I don't know. There seems to be something wrong with just going to a big organization that we don't really have built a relationship with, other than going through an interview sometimes, and then we're disconnected from our local communities or the people we've always known and the people that we want to help the most and all that thing, right? So I think that there is an interesting level of reflection on, where do we take our careers, and taking out the career meaning, like the purpose that we put and the intention we put on the day-to-day to make things better, and do it with people and surrounded by people that we like as well. Because you mentioned like having no bandwidth. Is there a purpose in that? Is there is it valuable for our lives to just work in ways that don't really are good for us at the very essential level? So I really appreciate that. And in that spirit, I would love if you could highlight a bit more about the Sustainable Act, so more people can learn about it, and also know how you are trying to empower youth through it, and how it's working now that you've been through the corporate and all those spaces. I'm excited to hear this, actually.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about where the Sustainable Act's headed. It was a passion project I started during COVID when I was just like needing to connect with people. I was just, we're all in lockdown, isolated, and I just really wanted to just keep having these conversations about what are people doing in their communities, and then highlight this work and inspire others to like, learn. And obviously that had to take a backseat as I then was like working my career, and I wasn't really allowed to work on the Sustainable Act. So for me this year, it's been like a year of like, I guess, transitioning into like, wow, I can do this. Like, I've built this really great loyal audience and community over the years that even continue to reach out throughout my, like, when I had to put the Sustainable Act on the back burner to focus on my job. People would still reach out and talk about how they listened to episodes in the past and how much it made an impact and how special that was. But I think this year I'm just really like embracing the fact that I can do this, and I'm not like looking over my shoulder and thinking I'm gonna get in trouble because which is such a weird thing, isn't it? Like, all I was trying to do is have these conversations, yet it was such a like tricky thing because I couldn't do that while I was in certain roles. And I think that I'm feeling really like proud of like where it's come. Like in terms of like your question around how is it encouraging youth or supporting youth, like the Sustainable Act started, and my whole journey started because I always noticed that in conferences and in these spaces where we're listening to sustainability professionals, it's not inclusive. And even when it started, and still to this day, it's a lot of older white people. And nothing wrong with it, initially when it's like, okay, we're learning, but when that space would never change, those leaders would never change, and it's always the same people, what about everyone else, especially marginalized communities, especially young people that are doing so much? Why are they not getting that spotlight and being up on that stage and being heard and being given these resources and being paid a lot to go and speak at these conferences? That's where it stemmed from, of like the Sustainable Act. It's always going to prioritize and emphasize and spotlight leaders that are young, that are from, that are BIPOC communities, that are from queer background, that like are queer, that are just marginalized overall, that are not getting that same kind of spotlight. Like that has always been. It's not like we deter from like anyone else that doesn't fit into one of those boxes, but I'm proud to say that we're probably one of the only like podcast platforms that at that scale that have done that, because there's a lot of podcasts out there too, and over the pandemic and since the pandemic, like the podcast industry has grown. There's like, it can be very saturated, but I think in the sustainability space, I'm just so proud of like how we've always, like, that's been our values from the beginning, and we've continued to do that. We're spotlighting young people and we're giving them the spotlight, and I think that's like really important to me to keep doing, because I never saw myself up there. And now when and in my last role, I got the opportunity to go speak at all these big like events and conferences. As often and still am the only like young person of color up on that stage in these, when we talk about large scale, like big media conferences. And things like Hollywood Climate Summit are changing that. The Sustainable Act's been like a huge like advocate, and we've been doing it. There's like a lot of great like organizations like Starfish, City Hive that are managing to like change the status quo. And so, that's like a big answer to like what are we doing to support, just by like I have so many amazing friends like yourself that are doing such incredible work. Why aren't we giving them the spotlight? That's what the Sustainable Act's always been about. But this year, we've really grown. Our team is growing. We're volunteer driven. And so for the fact that people are like, I want to volunteer and spend time, my valuable time, that like, again, it's a privilege to volunteer. And people choosing to volunteer to work on the Sustainable Act means so much to me, because it shows that it's not just me doing it, and not just like, obviously it's created a positive impact in my life, but it's also helping others, and they want to be part of like the growth. I think that in itself is a huge highlight for me, that people want to volunteer. But the way the team has grown into, we now have an editorial department. We have writers. We're hiring editors soon to have like published articles, and again giving a spotlight and voices to those that want to share their thoughts and have a place to through written content. We have like our social media, and we do a lot of content there. Our podcast still up and running, still like successful. And a new thing that we're starting to do this year is partner with local like events and grassroots movements, films, like being impact partners, where we can be like a media partner, impact partner, and again give another place to just like give a platform to showcase the work that these different people are doing in organizations and events. And so that's like what I'm really excited about. But I have to say, like, if anyone's listening that is interested in helping support and fund, like we're looking for funders. We're looking, like, we can't, like, as much as I love this work, it's hard to like think about the future when we don't have a lot of funding to back it up. So that's what we're like constantly looking for, is like partners that really believe in our mission and want to like and see like the Sustainable Act being a valuable thing in this space. We're looking for funders, for partners, for sponsors, whether it's for the podcast or events or anything. But it's a challenge that continue to face as most.
Well, we'll keep advocating for that.
Yeah.
That sounds like lovely work, and I think that I really hope that there are youth out there that are pursuing similar endeavors. And keeping that in mind, I wanted to close this interview by asking you, where do you find mentorship, or where do you go meet people? Maybe those are conferences. I know you've been down to the Hollywood Sustainability Summit or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think we met for the first time in the Starfish Summit, so that's another one. But in all overall, I think that it's just more asking you what kind of advice of specific places to go or communities to be with can you give other people who are in this similar space?
Yeah, you listed some really great ones. Starfish Canada is like amazing, incredible organization. I'm a huge fan of them for, what they're doing. And I think if you get involved with like their programs, they do workshops, they're doing summits. Like I think that's a really great place there. I got to meet so many like amazing change makers. City Hive in Vancouver is a great organization if you're local to Vancouver and want to participate in their programs, because through that I made a lot of friends. It felt like I took part in their program, and it just felt like I was going back to school, and like people around my age, like it was so different. Like I did that program immediately after quitting my job where I was never around young people, and it always felt like I had to like present myself as like more mature, more older, like to be taken seriously, and then to be in this space with young people and just feel like I can be myself. And I also like, can relate to so much. I think that was such a empowering experience for me, and I encourage others to like find their local initiatives. So even if you're not from Vancouver, find what's happening near you, even if it's virtual. And I really encourage it because you can really find your community if you engage in these local initiatives. Hollywood Climate Summit that you mentioned, I sit on the board of advisors for them. They are an incredible nonprofit they do an annual summit, which is in person in Los Angeles, but it's free for anyone around the world to tune in. It happens every June, but they do things and pop-ups and workshops and stuff throughout the year. So if you go on HollywoodClimateSummit.com, you can really can find out more there, because they're also run by young people that just really care, and like the amount of just the impact that they've created over the years is just so inspiring. And I've just been like privileged to get like, be part of it too from the beginning with them. Young Entertainment Activists, which is the main producer of the Hollywood Climate Summit, they're also really good friends of mine who also are based in LA, but I think just following their work to see like if you're really interested in how to intersect media and climate, seeing the work they do do online panels sometimes and partner with other events. I think just following along will, open you to this like door, like, world of possibilities of how you can get involved and who you should be like following. Intersectional Environmentalist is another amazing nonprofit, also US based, however, again, very global audience, and really, really like prioritizing the intersectional aspect. So the more intersectional you are, the more value you can bring. And I think they really celebrate that. And that's something everyone should look into. The Sustainable Act, I will definitely say, like, follow us. I think we're really trying to create a community. We're doing events, climate cafes, and through our online like podcast and editorial. Like if you have something you want to spotlight or you want to share, if you want us to feature you, reach out to us. Like we want to, like that's why we're here. Ritmus is a huge, like I've just been loving the work you've been doing and your whole team. I think that is a incredible organization to check out. So yeah, there's a lot. Like I'm sure you can check out like one of our websites, like Green Career, or like to see like all these different, because we all collaborate. I think the community is really small.
Yeah,
like,
once you get working, I feel like it aligns very well.
And you'll see like our logos are each other, like collaborating. Guarantee it's going to be easy to find all of these. It's such a good ecosystem. So definitely just like, yeah, even if you follow one of us, you'll see that we collaborate with others. Like just I would say like, yeah, follow along, talk to people, reach out, and find your mentors. Mentors, I think it's really important to find people that you see are doing what you want to do, and just start talking to them. Most times it's a great experience and people want to help. And if it's not, that's fine. Find someone else, you know? Yeah, I think, was that like your question?
I think that comes to be a lovely ending. I think I live with a great taste to this because, I'm loving how this belonging to this community feels. And I think we're trying to make things different, and we're trying to be inclusive. And we're trying to not rely on just volunteer work, but actually starting to see where we can get those funding avenues and see how we can change that in a way that can be sustainable in the long term. Because eventually we'll stop being youth, and eventually we're going to be, the senior positions. And so we need to make sure that we're not the only ones up there when that happens.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to like close off.
Lovely. Alrighty.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you, Sue.